Welcome to our exploration of the brain and behavior. Have you ever wondered why we act the way we do, or how our thoughts and feelings are shaped by the complex organ inside our heads? In this video, we'll dive into the fascinating relationship between the brain and human behavior. From everyday habits to emotional reactions, the brain is at the center of it all. Let's set the stage for a journey into neuroscience, psychology, and the mysteries of the mind. As we move forward, you'll discover how different parts of the brain influence everything from movement to memory, and how our environment and experiences can shape our actions. Behavior refers to the actions, reactions, and responses of an individual, often in relation to their environment. It includes everything from simple reflexes to complex decision-making. Our behaviors are influenced by both internal factors like thoughts and emotions and external factors such as social situations or cultural expectations. Understanding behavior is key to understanding ourselves and others. As we continue, we'll see how the brain acts as the command center, processing information and guiding our every move. Brain is often called the command center of the body. It's made up of billions of neurons that communicate through electrical and chemical signals. These connections allow us to think, feel, move, and interact with the world. The brain is divided into different regions, each responsible for specific functions. For example, the frontal lobe helps with decision-making, while the occipital lobe processes visual information. As we move forward, we'll break down these regions and see how they contribute to behavior. Neurons are the building blocks of the brain. These specialized cells transmit information throughout the nervous system. Each neuron communicates with others through tiny gaps called synapses, using electrical impulses and chemical messengers known as neurotransmitters. This network of communication is what allows us to sense, think, and act. Without neurons, the brain couldn't function and behavior would be impossible. Next, we'll see how these messages travel and how they affect our action. Communication between neurons happens at lightning speed. When a neuron is activated, it sends an electrical signal down its axon. At the end, neurotransmitters are released into the synapse, where they bind to receptors on the next neuron. This process repeats, creating a chain reaction that allows information to flow rapidly through the brain. This system is essential for everything from moving your hand to recalling a memory. Let's look at how this communication shapes our behavior. Frontal lobe, located at the front of the brain, is responsible for higher-level thinking, planning, and decision-making. It helps us set goals, solve problems, and control impulses. When you decide what to eat for lunch or how to respond to a friend, your frontal lobe is hard at work. Damage to this area can affect judgment and personality. As we continue, we'll see how other brain regions contribute to different aspects of behavior. Parietal lobe processes sensory information from the body, such as touch, temperature, and pain. It helps us navigate our environment and understand spatial relationships. For example, when you reach for a cup or feel the warmth of the sun, your parietal lobe is at work. This region integrates sensory input, allowing us to respond appropriately to the world around us. Next, we'll explore the occipital lobe and its role in vision. Occipital lobe, found at the back of the brain, is dedicated to processing visual information. Every time you see colors, shapes, or movement, this region is translating signals from your eyes into images you can understand. It allows us to recognize faces, read words, and navigate our surroundings. Visual perception is a crucial part of behavior, influencing how we interact with the world. Let's move on to the temporal lobe and its connection to hearing and memory. Temporal lobe is involved in processing sounds and forming memories. It helps us understand language, recognize voices, and remember experiences. When you listen to music or recall a favorite moment, your temporal lobe is active. This region also plays a role in emotional responses, connecting what we hear and remember to how we feel. As we continue, we'll look at the limbic system and its influence on emotions and motivation. Limbic system is a group of structures deep within the brain that regulate emotions, motivation, and some aspects of memory. It includes the amygdala, which processes fear and pleasure, and the hippocampus, essential for forming new memories. The limbic system helps us react to threats, form attachments, and experience joy or sadness. It's a key player in how our feelings influence our actions. Next, we'll see how the brain and body communicate through the nervous system. Nervous system connects the brain to the rest of the body, allowing us to sense, move, and react. It's made up of the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, nerves throughout the body. This network carries signals that control everything from heartbeat to handshakes. The nervous system ensures that the brain's instructions reach muscles and organs, making coordinated behavior possible. Let's explore how sensory input is processed and turned into action. Senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell, gather information from the environment and send it to the brain. Sensory receptors detect changes and convert them into signals that travel through nerves. The brain then interprets these signals, allowing us to perceive and respond to the world. Sensory input is the first step in many behaviors, from reflexes to complex decision-making. Next, we'll see how the brain processes this information and decides what to do. Sensory information reaches the brain, it's processed and integrated. Different brain regions work together to interpret signals, compare them to past experiences, and predict outcomes. This processing allows us to make sense of our surroundings and choose appropriate responses. For example, seeing a red light triggers the decision to stop at an intersection. The brain's ability to process information quickly and accurately is essential for survival. Next, we'll look at how the brain turns decisions into actions. After processing information, the brain sends signals to muscles and organs to carry out actions. This can be as simple as blinking or as complex as playing an instrument. Motor areas of the brain plan and coordinate movements, while other regions monitor feedback and adjust as needed. This seamless flow from thought to action is what allows us to interact with the world effectively. Next, we'll explore how learning and memory shape our behaviors over time. Learning is the process of acquiring new knowledge or skills, while memory is the ability to store and retrieve that information. The brain changes physically when we learn, forming new connections between neurons. These changes make it easier to repeat behaviors and recall information later. Memory is essential for everything from remembering names to mastering a sport. As we continue, we'll see how habits are formed and why they're so hard to break. Habits are behaviors that become automatic through repetition. The brain creates shortcuts to save energy and make routine actions easier. For example, brushing your teeth or driving a familiar route requires little conscious thought. Habits are stored in the basal ganglia, a deep brain structure. While habits can be helpful, they can also be hard to change. Next, we'll explore how emotions influence our behavior and decision-making. Emotions play a powerful role in shaping our actions. They can motivate us to act, influence our decisions, and affect how we relate to others. The brain's limbic system is central to emotional processing. For example, fear can trigger a fight or flight response, while happiness can encourage social interaction. Emotions are closely linked to memories and experiences, making each person's behavior unique. Next, we'll look at how stress impacts the brain and behavior. Stress is a natural response to challenges or threats. When we're stressed, the brain releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, preparing the body for action. While short-term stress can be helpful, chronic stress can harm the brain and behavior. It can affect memory, decision-making, and emotional regulation. Managing stress is important for maintaining healthy brain function and positive behavior. Next, we'll see how sleep supports the brain and behavior. Sleep is essential for brain health and behavior. During sleep, the brain consolidates memories, clears waste, and restores energy. Lack of sleep can impair attention, mood, and decision-making. Over time, poor sleep can increase the risk of mental health problems. Prioritizing good sleep habits supports learning, emotional balance, and overall well-being. Next, we'll explore how nutrition and exercise benefit the brain and behavior. We eat affects how our brain works. Nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals support brain function and development. A balanced diet can improve mood, memory, and concentration. On the other hand, poor nutrition can lead to fatigue, irritability, and cognitive decline. Eating well is a simple way to support both brain health and positive behavior. Next, we'll see how physical activity benefits the mind. Physical activity isn't just good for the body, it's great for the brain too. Exercise increases blood flow, boosts mood, and stimulates the growth of new brain cells. Regular movement can improve memory, reduce stress, and enhance learning. Activities like walking, dancing, or playing sports all contribute to a healthier brain and better behavior. Next, we'll look at how social interactions shape our minds. Humans are social creatures, and our brains are wired for connection. Social interactions stimulate brain activity, influence emotions, and shape behavior. Positive relationships can boost happiness and resilience, while isolation can harm mental health. The brain's mirror neurons help us understand and empathize with others. As we continue, we'll see how culture and environment impact the brain and behavior. Culture and environment play a big role in shaping behavior. Our beliefs, traditions, and surroundings influence how we think, feel, and act. The brain adapts to different environments. Learning new skills and behaviors is needed. For example, growing up in a musical family may enhance auditory skills. Understanding the impact of culture and environment helps explain why people behave differently across the world. Next, we'll explore how genetics contribute to behavior. Our genes provide the blueprint for brain development and function. Genetics can influence traits like intelligence, temperament, and risk for certain mental health conditions. However, genes interact with the environment, meaning behavior is shaped by both nature and nurture. Understanding genetics helps explain why some behaviors run in families. Next, we'll look at how the brain develops from childhood to adulthood. Brain changes throughout life, from infancy to old age. Early experiences shape brain structure and function, laying the foundation for future behavior. During childhood, the brain grows rapidly, forming new connections. Adolescence brings changes in decision-making and emotional regulation. Even in adulthood, the brain can adapt and learn. Understanding development helps us support healthy behavior at every stage of life. Next, we'll see how brain injuries affect behavior. Injuries to the brain can have a major impact on behavior. Depending on the area affected, a person may experience changes in memory, personality, movement, or emotions. Rehabilitation and therapy can help the brain recover and adapt. Understanding the effects of brain injuries highlights the importance of brain health and safety. Next, we'll explore common mental health conditions and their connection to the brain. Mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia are linked to changes in brain chemistry and structure. These conditions can affect mood, thinking, and behavior. Treatment often involves therapy, medication, and lifestyle changes. Understanding the brain's role in mental health can reduce stigma and encourage people to seek help. Next, we'll look at how medications affect the brain and behavior. Medications can alter brain chemistry to treat mental health conditions or neurological disorders. For example, antidepressants increase certain neurotransmitters to improve mood. While medications can be effective, they may also have side effects. It's important to work with healthcare professionals to find the right treatment. Next, we'll explore how substance use affects the brain and behavior. Substances like alcohol, nicotine, and drugs can change the way the brain works. They may alter mood, perception, and behavior, sometimes leading to addiction. Substance use can have short-term effects like euphoria and long-term consequences such as memory loss or mental health issues. Understanding these effects can help people make informed choices. Next, we'll see how technology is changing our brains and behaviors. Modern technology, from smartphones to social media, is changing the way we think and behave. While technology can enhance learning and connection, excessive use may lead to distraction or stress. The brain adapts to new tools, but balance is key. Understanding the impact of technology helps us use it in ways that support healthy behavior. Next, we'll look at how creativity and the arts stimulate the brain. Creativity involves using imagination to generate new ideas or solve problems. The brain's right hemisphere is often associated with creative thinking, but creativity uses many regions. Activities like painting, music, or writing stimulate the brain and can improve mood and cognitive flexibility. Encouraging creativity supports mental health and adaptive behavior. Next, we'll see how mindfulness and meditation affect the brain. Mindfulness and meditation practices help calm the mind and reduce stress. These techniques can change brain activity, increasing focus and emotional regulation. Regular practice has been shown to improve well-being and resilience. Mindfulness encourages awareness of thoughts and feelings, helping us respond rather than react. Next, we'll explore how the brain adapts to change and recovers from challenges. Brain is remarkably adaptable, a quality known as neuroplasticity. It can reorganize itself by forming new connections after injury, learning, or experience. This ability allows us to recover skills, adapt to new situations, and continue learning throughout life. Neuroplasticity is the foundation for rehabilitation and personal growth. Next, we'll see how motivation drives behavior and achievement. Motivation is what drives us to set goals and pursue achievements. The brain's reward system involving dopamine plays a key role in motivation. When we accomplish something, the brain releases chemicals that make us feel good, encouraging us to repeat the behavior. Understanding motivation helps us set effective goals and overcome obstacles. Next, we'll look at how self-control and willpower shape our actions. Self-control is the ability to resist impulses and delay gratification. The prefrontal cortex, part of the frontal lobe, is crucial for willpower. Practicing self-control helps us make healthy choices and achieve long-term goals. Like a muscle, willpower can be strengthened with practice. Next, we'll explore how empathy and compassion influence our behavior toward others. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, while compassion motivates us to help. The brain's mirror neurons and limbic system are involved in these processes. Empathy and compassion foster social bonds and positive behavior. Practicing these skills can improve relationships and community well-being. Next, we'll see how prejudice and bias can affect behavior. Prejudice and bias are attitudes or beliefs that affect how we perceive and treat others. These can be shaped by culture, experience, and brain processes. The brain tends to categorize information quickly, which can lead to stereotypes. Recognizing and challenging bias is important for fair and respectful behavior. Next, we'll look at how group dynamics influence our actions. Group dynamics refer to how people behave in groups. The brain is influenced by social norms, peer pressure, and the desire to belong. Sometimes people act differently in groups than they would alone. Understanding group dynamics helps explain phenomena like conformity and teamwork. Next, we'll see how leadership and influence shape group behavior. Leaders can inspire, motivate, and guide group behavior. The brain responds to authority and role models, often imitating their actions. Effective leadership involves communication, empathy, and decision-making. Understanding influence helps us recognize how our actions affect others. Next, we'll explore how the brain responds to rewards and punishments. Rewards and punishments are powerful tools for shaping behavior. The brain's reward system releases dopamine when we experience pleasure, reinforcing positive actions. Punishments can discourage unwanted behaviors. Understanding how the brain responds to rewards and punishments helps us create effective learning environments. Next, we'll see how language and communication influence behavior. Language is a unique human ability that allows us to share ideas, emotions, and knowledge. The brain's language centers, like Broca's and Wernicke's areas, process speech and comprehension. Communication shapes relationships and influences behavior. Effective communication can resolve conflicts and build understanding. Next, we'll look at how nonverbal cues affect our interactions. Nonverbal cues, such as facial expressions, gestures, and posture, convey information without words. The brain interprets these signals quickly, helping us understand others' feelings and intentions. Nonverbal communication can reinforce or contradict spoken words. Being aware of nonverbal cues improves social interactions and relationships. Next, we'll explore how the brain supports problem-solving and creativity. Problem-solving involves using logic, reasoning, and creativity to overcome challenges. The brain draws on past experiences and flexible thinking to find solutions. Creative problem-solving can lead to innovation and progress. Encouraging curiosity and open-mindedness supports effective problem-solving. Next, we'll see how the brain balances risk and reward in decision-making. Every decision involves weighing risks and rewards. The brain's prefrontal cortex evaluates options, predicts outcomes, and helps us choose the best course of action. Sometimes emotions or biases can sway our choices. Understanding how the brain balances risk and reward can improve decision-making. Next, we'll summarize the key points about the brain and behavior. We've covered the incredible connection between the brain and behavior. From neurons and brain regions to emotions, habits, and social influences, the brain shapes every aspect of our actions. Understanding this relationship helps us make better choices, support mental health, and appreciate the complexity of human behavior. As science advances, we continue to unlock the mysteries of the mind. Thank you for joining this journey into the brain and behavior.